One of the most insidious things that happens in our culture is how people get trapped in cycles of debt. Payday loans and even pawn shops can be a beginning of this. I'm here at our local one called First Cash. And one of the most problematic things about our God and the cross is that sometimes cultural Christianity and bad theology have painted God to be like some kind of loan shark. We picture God to be in the sin accounting business, and that God, if I put it bluntly, is some kind of violent masochist who put Jesus on the cross and indebted us forever to try and pay it off. Our cultural Christianity paints God as some kind of loan shark, as Pastor Nadia Bolz-Weber puts it. And the cross is something that's on layaway that we're always trying to work up to but never quite become worthy of. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not Christianity, and it's not good theology. So how can we instead view the cross as an antidote to our violence, as the freeing? Most ancient cultures had some practice of freeing people from debt. In the Hebrew culture, it was called the Jubilee. And so how can we be practicing the Jubilee? I think the cross is that Jubilee that frees people, not indebts people to be counting up their sins and see if you're worthy enough. I invite you to listen today to Pastor Nadia Bolz-Weber, who shares on these themes. Here she is.
I've always felt like the cross was about God saying, I'd rather die than be in the sin accounting business anymore. And it's like from the cross we see that Jesus won't even lift a finger to condemn, much less do violence to his own crucifiers. It's incredible. I mean, that sort of chosen powerlessness I find baffling and unbelievably redemptive. I mean, I was taught this weird sort of substitutionary atonement, God is divine child abuser, or God is like pissed off cigar chomping loan shark demanding his pound of flesh. Someone's got to pay, it might as well be Jesus. It's just jacked up images of God. Also, technically, heresy. That is not a Trinitarian view of God. That's not God's little boy. It's like God had a little boy and he loved that little boy so much. He loved that, and he only had one. I don't know, fertility issues. I have no idea, but God just had one little boy and he loved that boy so much. And you know what? He had to kill that little boy because you stole a candy bar, right? It's just like, and now you have to be grateful for your whole life that God killed his little boy because you stole a candy bar, that you have to spend your whole life making sure you never do anything like that again, just out of gratitude, right? So that's not God's little boy on the cross. That's God. That's actually God. That's the second person of the Trinity. That's God taking in all of humanity's broken-ass stuff, all of our sin, our brokenness, all that violence and affliction and sin of humanity, and somehow took that into God's own broken human body, and then gave us just forgiveness. Being people who have received that kind of grace and forgiveness, sometimes we get to be ones who are agents of that in the world. So you say, what do Christians do in the world? We accidentally, despite ourselves, get to be agents of forgiveness and mercy and grace because we've been cracked open, and then that just stuff flows out. It's just God's stuff, it flows out. It's not because of a plan we have or a discipleship group or whatever. It's just, we're these sort of broken and healed people from which that stuff comes out.
What is God's stuff?
All of it. I mean, all of that love and mercy and it's so destabilizing and it's so against human nature. That's the thing that's so redemptive about it. It's like the antidote to who we are naturally that we need.